Hey guys, welcome to the Refined Life Podcast. I hope you're having a good day. We're going to be talking about some social media stuff today that I thought we was going to talk about last time, but then I was wrong, so we talked about something else. So this time we're going to talk about some other stuff that happened a while ago when we had a video go viral, and the video went viral, and then we had a lot of answers and stuff back on it, and we're going to just talk about that today. So if y'all want to just sit in and listen, that would be cool. And then like, subscribe, and share, and podcast all the stuff. Okay, thank you.
I feel like that's. I feel like that was a great interpretation of what podcasts are moving toward.
Yeah. Hey guys, I was pulling my best. Who's that? Is that hey guys? Oh, it's from Napoleon Dynamite, the older brother. Hey, I was thinking it'd be cool if you come over for a while.
Well, I think this was Jeff's idea to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Shit if I know, but we're going to have some fun today. That's what I do know.
Tell them what we're doing, Jeff.
So today we are going to, we had Mr. Jared Blake here go super viral with some relationship advice. I think combined with all of our social medias, we're at 1 million.
Not on my page. No one cared. No one cared about the guy who said it.
The guy who said it got shunned.
Meanwhile, me and Jeff are up here growing. Bam.
But
that's real canceling right there.
Yeah, you got canceled.
Well, they were taking it back to when you got canceled before. You know, when you got shadow banned.
Oh, right.
So
right.
you just happen to be shadow banned still, and you just
I
didn't
think
know
I still am.
Yeah.
So pushing 1 million views, might even be at 1 million views, but what comes with 1 million views is a bunch of just idiots, right?
Yeah.
There's
I was going to go with butt wipes, but yeah, idiots.
I was just gonna go with opinions, but they're like buttholes. So some of them stink.
Some, I think most.
So do you want to?
Mine don't.
I'll take your word.
For those that haven't seen the reel,
I got some advice from my pastor not long ago. I was talking to him about, I was like, I think she's working a lot and she's stressed and I don't know how to talk to her about that. And he was like, you don't talk to her about it. And I was like, haha, right. Like you guys aren't talking about whatever. And he was like, no. He's like, do you know your wife? You understand the things that make her happy. Don't address that she's stressed out and she needs to take time off. Just give her the thing that she needs. He was like, so
Great idea.
Instead of telling her you're stressed out, you need to take some time off, just book her the massage. Yeah. Just book the things, put them in progress,
it's a great idea.
Pay for them and make them happen so that she has to go do it, And he was like, just don't mention that she's stressed. Don't mention that she's upset. Don't bring anything negative into her world. Just provide the answer. The basics was I was talking to my pastor about just relationship advice. I was talking about, I've noticed my wife is very stressed, but if I bring it up that she's stressed, then she gets upset.
More
stress. She doesn't right. I'm like, you got to take some time off, baby. It's because I'm giving her another chore to do. Like, you've got to take some time off. You've got to figure out how to get away from work. You've got to figure, like, it's just putting more on you. And so he was like, why not, instead of bringing it up, why not just do something nice for her? Like, go ahead and get her a massage, cook dinner for her. And the massage, for some reason, popped out as being the thing that everyone was like, they didn't hear all the other suggestions we had. It was just buy her a massage.
The biggest thing they didn't hear is you said, you know your wife. Because that means you know that she wants that.
Right. I mean, reality is I wouldn't buy my wife a massage because that's not what she likes the best. She'd rather have a massage from me. So I would just do that. Yeah. But it's knowing who your wife is and knowing what are the things that would relieve stress in her life. And to a lot of the ladies out there, that also included the fact that all three of us already do dishes. We put away our dirty clothes, not all the time, but we do help around the house. And so a lot of the comments that were like, well, why don't you just do this? Pick up a dish every once in a while. Why don't you clean the baby's diaper?
It
would be weird because I don't have any babies.
I was like, are you married to a high schooler or is it
right,
or what?
Where are we at?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the part that made me feel bad about all this was how many women did comment on screw the massage. I just want him to wash a dish every once in a while.
Yeah.
Ladies, we think that that's a given. Your man should definitely be handling his duties.
That's just the way it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a team. It's supposed to be a team effort at home.
Yeah.
So I think that's.
Well, I mean, I think you guys feel the same way as I do. My wife and I also very much look at it. There's certain weeks that are heavier on her and heavier on me,
Yeah.
and both of us kind of take turns. Some week maybe she's doing more of the house chores. Some week maybe I'm doing more of them. But we both have jobs, and you know it's a
I
different
think
load.
when you look at a relationship, everybody always say, "Oh, it's 50-50," but it's never really 50-50.
Ever.
Because
Well,
there's
it's
going to be
50-50 on the whole.
yeah, but there's going to be times when
I don't even know what that meant, but
there's going to be times whenever you need her to give 70 in the household and you need to give 30, or there's going to be times when she needs you to give 100% because she got so much going on over here. And that's the way it is. So really 50-50 just means, hey, in these times you might have to be 100% or you might have to be 70 and I might have to be this, but that's really what compromise in relationship really means. So if you're in a good relationship, you understand, hey, I might have to pick up some slack this week. Like when I'm leaving town, my wife knows, hey, I'm gone. It's all on you. So today,
But I bet a lot like that though for me before I leave town and after I
You
get
do
back,
extra stuff,
I
yeah.
tend to do extra things and try to.
My wife needed to get her hair done today, and she kind of needed the whole day, and I said, look, just go get your hair done. And you know, my wife is one of those. She feels guilty every time she's not doing something for the kids, and go do something for yourself. You know, she's like, I know, but I feel bad if I don't see him. I'm like, listen, the one's going to school. I'm taking the other one to the gym with me. She's going to get an hour and a half of playing time in the gym. I said, then we're going to go to the park, which we did. We had a fun time at the park today. I got to do, she likes to do monkey bars now, and I walk her across them. And I said, and I took her back home, and, you know, she eats lunch, and then she takes a nap.
How do
about
other
2
kids
hours.
feel seeing a gorilla walk, like a real live gorilla, walk up to the playground and get
Just
on
so
the
you
monkey
know, I
bars?
can eat. Listen, even at this size, I can still do the monkey bars. I just want that to be known.
I do not doubt it.
No
All right, so
doubt.
let's jump into some comments here. That's what we're really here for today. Is we're going to jump into some comments, and we calling y'all out. So here we go. Ann Baker 306.
Is that at M Baker 306?
That is at Ann Baker 306 says, Jared Blake, massages by a stranger when you are naked is ungodly.
In which Vinny's response is, you know, you don't have to get naked. I'm not real sure what's happening here.
I was actually thinking, hey, when Jared Blake gives you a massage, it's a godly massage. So maybe you just hadn't been getting the proper massages. Is all I'm saying.
So yeah, that one struck me funny. Yeah, I don't. It's kind of came out of nowhere. I felt like
Hey, it was the one thing I wasn't
hadn't thought-
expecting.
no, I was not thinking like. Anyway, so what goes on there? Because if I remember correctly, people debated this. For a minute.
Yeah. So
It got heated.
it did get heated.
It
did get
escalated
heated.
quickly.
So somebody obviously tells Ann Baker 306 that she's missing the point, which I couldn't agree more.
Right.
Somebody says, Ann Baker, that's the weirdest thing I've heard in a while. And also, God created us naked with the mind-blowing emoji. so Ann Baker
It's the weirdest thing I've heard in a while.
Yeah.
Somebody else, like Bigg Vinny, says, you know you don't have to get naked, right? and
I mean,
Ann Baker says, you're still alone with a complete stranger touching you. Why are massage parlors notorious cover-up for prostitution? Woo, we just went
Well,
off the cliff there.
let's go there for a minute because I don't remember saying I was going to send my wife to a massage parlor. Now, I don't know a whole lot about massage therapy or what they're called, but I tend to feel like when one's called a massage parlor, it feels like that insinuates something different. And have we, you know what I mean?
I don't know if I've ever seen one. I mean, my wife goes to Massage Envy, I think.
Ooh, that's
Oh,
envious.
envious.
Ooh.
I think she should go to Massage Ecstasy. Does that exist? Can I own that trademark?
There's a pill you take.
I mean, that's
for
where that one's going. Anyway,
All right, here's a good rebuttal.
a rebuke.
I've been a massage therapist with integrity, but by your logic, don't go and give birth through your gynecologist. Don't get a mammogram. Men shouldn't have gotten their prostate checked the old way.
I still got to go get mine
Well,
checked, to be honest with you. I just turned
What
40.
just-
We took a hard left turn there. We went from getting massages to getting fingers in our asses. Just like that, man. We just wham, just took it. But what she's saying, I get what she's saying. She's like, look, I'm a massage therapist. I've never played with someone underneath the sheet. I'm just in there doing my job because massages. Listen, I do a lot of lifting and been in sports my whole life. We've all played a lot. Getting a massage is a form of therapy to help you recover because it gets the lactic acid, it gets things moving. It takes toxins out
Not
of your
when you're
body.
naked, Vinny.
No, yeah.
When you're naked, it's ungodly.
I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm already.
Maybe we're taking this wrong. Maybe she meant it in another way, like it's ungodly.
Oh yeah, it could be the emphasis.
Naked massages are ungodly.
Maybe we read the emphasis
Maybe
wrong.
she's the one that got the happy ending.
Anyway, listen. I've been to a lot of massages. I've never gotten offered that.
No, I've heard
I'm
of
starting
people.
to get upset.
Listen,
I'm starting to think it might be me.
I've heard
You
of
know?
people talking about that, and I always think like, how would you know? Do you just like? There's got to be a sign on the door or something that
Yeah,
let
it
you
says
know
parlor.
to let you know that you can suggest that because I just don't know how you'd have the balls to be like, hey, so
Hey,
By the way, I'm gonna need you to.
no.
right. I mean,
Hey.
maybe that comes up when you're paying. You're like, yeah, I'd like the. Is there any other
Hey,
thing besides
y'all ever-
what's
y'all
on
ever
the
listen to
sign?
Is there a
It's
hidden
like
menu?
it's like a right. It's like a In-N-Out burger.
Yeah.
Like the secret menu.
Yeah. Hey, y'all
I
ever-
would like animal style, please.
Have y'all? I think it was doggy, right? No. Anyway, no. Listen,
This is exactly where I thought this episode would go.
Have you ever heard Rodney Carrington talk about that? He goes, I hate going to massage parlors. You go in there and they rub you down everywhere except for the one place you want them to rub. He goes, and I know she had to know I was talking about. I kept grunting and pointing at it real hard.
So that's how you do it.
Yeah, I don't think it worked for him. So.
Let's get back. Was there more to this?
There's more, but there's
Oh,
so many.
they went back. They
comments.
went back and forth a lot
yeah,
on that one.
Yeah, there's so many.
I don't want to spend the
Well,
whole episode on that
I'm gonna-
because we could.
I'm gonna turn a page into the only one I think that pissed me off.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Like, because most of them, like you guys know, you guys were text messaging. All these things started coming in, guys, and I was laying in bed like probably 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I just started messaging people back on all of these.
It was
and
always
you
late.
guys were like watching this, right? And so then I
phone,
get to this one.
bing, bing.
Now, let me tell you about Louise. Is that it? I'm from Arkansas, so I can't spell and I'm losing my sight. Luis. Is it Lois? Is that it?
Lewis.
Louis?
Louis.
Luis?
I don't know.
Maybe I'm on the. Okay, no, that's the wrong one. That's a different one that I want to talk about. So Lois, Louise, whatever, SSS86 says, bad idea.
Okay.
That got my attention.
The other 800 women
Wait.
comment and seem to like it, but that's good.
Well, this is why, though, and they're wrong, clearly, because he says, bad idea. Women need to learn to control their emotions and how to communicate. You are only allowing her bad behavior to continue.
Hey, him, he's single. Single or in a very
if you
unhappy
care,
marriage.
you will teach her. Okay.
No.
His
Dang.
old lady's locked in the basement,
Now,
bro.
This was after, like,
give
we've got
his whole name. He's going to get canceled.
We've
Don't-
got 500. I'll give you his whole name. It was Lois or Lewis. I don't know. Solomon.
Oh,
anyway.
he has wisdom.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've had 500 comments on this post, and I had already read through probably 180 of them at this
Right.
point. So I'm, kind of getting tired of what people are saying. I'm laying in bed, and so this pissed me right off, man. And I wrote back, you don't know my wife.
You don't know me. You sound like those kids on
You
Maury
don't-
Povich.
You don't know how well she communicates, nor how strong she is. It's not bad behavior. We all get tired, overworked, and stressed. A husband
Not
and a
lazy
wife
people.
should desire to take care of each other. That's what we're doing. And he didn't say anything back to that. And then someone else wrote back, being stressed isn't bad behavior. It's a state of being. So I bring up that one. This one didn't get many messages. People didn't want to discuss that one a whole lot, I guess. But like, it just blew my mind that he was like, you need to teach her, and that is bad behavior. And you are like, didn't it? Like,
I could just
what
see you.
the
I could just see
heck?
you going to Jen and be like, "Hey, I need to teach you something today."
Listen,
Let me tell you.
Communicate.
Feels
Concentrate.
very 1800.
Right?
Oh
I
man.
feel like that ship sailed a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah, it's been
Dude.
sail on.
All right. Are you going to go with one, or you want me to go on this
Oh no,
next
you
one?
got it. You're on
Okay,
a roll. I got
this
a
one.
couple in here, but we'll get to those in a minute.
This was the girl I was talking about. Let me find her name.
She's famous.
Rosa Cortez.
Oh yeah.
She
All right,
has
Rosa.
86,700 followers.
She got more. She got
All
more.
right, let's go.
She got more
Rosa.
followers than all of
Now,
us combined.
if you look at her page, she wrote a book called "Breaking the Barriers."
Okay.
This
Free
seems like somebody
publicity here.
that should be in line with our way of thinking on that. A lot of modeling pictures, it looks like. Book author.
She's
And
licking a rose in that one. She was licking it.
She claims to be a public figure, part-time celebrity, health healer, and full-time icon.
She reads tarot cards, is what you're
She
saying.
is published in Glancer, NCTV, and Breaking the Barriers book.
Oh, cool.
So this seems like someone that you might be able to talk to, but she's not. She says, she goes on to say, and this is Rosa Cortez official. Yeah. How about stepping it up and not having her work? Problem solved. Truth.
Whoa.
Truth bomb.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Truth bomb.
So it's
Then politically underscore frustrated says,
We know where he
finally a good response.
oh, snap.
Thank you, prayer hands. This is the best solution. She shouldn't be working while taking care of a family or split chores. Really? Question mark. And paying for someone else to rub your wife? Jeez.
There's so much to unpack here.
I mean-
This one confused me.
No, I mean I'm slightly confused myself, but let's just start with the beginning, okay? Let's start with this girl. First off,
How about stepping it up and not having her work? Question mark. Problem solved. Truth bomb.
bam, she just dropped that mic
Yeah,
on you, bro.
I didn't feel a mic drop at all. I felt stupidity.
Yeah.
I felt dumber. I felt dumber after
well, she
reading
dropped
that.
the mic because she was
I
chewing
felt
bubblegum at the
dumber
same
for the
time.
fact
It was-
of just the same way that other dude was basically like, get back in the kitchen. Like
Yeah.
it was like, what? So did you not? You wrote a book. Like you clearly are some sort of professional. Any thought that maybe
Hey.
my wife wants to be a professional?
she's single.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know.
I'm just saying, like, you're writing a book and doing things that look like you're professional. So you're clearly either not a professional or you're talking out both sides of your ass.
Or
because,
why are you-
wouldn't my wife want to be professional?
also,
Or
why
is she working?
why are you working?
Why
Where's
is
your
she doing all that?
Well, she hasn't found a man good enough to step it up.
Truth bomb.
Or Rose, I don't know. Maybe you don't got what it takes to get a man to step it up. I don't know. Who knows?
All I know is, listen, we've both been at points, all three of us have been at points where we could and still could have it to where our wives don't have to work. But our wives want to do their own thing. They have their own dreams and aspirations and goals. And it's not like, hey, get in there, put on your apron, we'll smack you on the butt, with a little flower imprint on there. We talked about that once before. And go make my dinner and have it done when I get back. And you better have the laundry clean. You better have the kids put to bed. I don't want to hear nobody yapping. Also, we're only watching football. That's a true one.
I think it's interesting how she tied stress to work, as if that's the only thing in life that
That
can
can stress you
create
out.
stress.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, you never live with me.
That's interesting.
I'm stressful.
She might want to go to work.
I'm like 24/7.
So I
so that-
responded back to her.
Yeah.
Actually, we tried that. We also tried working together. She ultimately wanted to start a design company, and after the kids got older, and I'm proud to say she has become super successful. She's crushing it so hard and loves her job so much that I now actually work for her most of the time.
Bam, truth bomb.
Supporting her dreams, and then I tagged you guys.
Yep.
Wives are the same way. The point of the podcast was to take stress out of our wives' lives and support their dreams. And I'm still blown away by like, this chick wrote a book. Like, how do you?
Well, you don't know what her
understand,
book's
like-
about. It's about
No,
breaking
but
barriers.
Breaking
Maybe
barriers. Apparently, breaking the barriers is get back in the kitchen. I don't know. Like,
to be fair, we don't know what her book's about. I'm gonna guess that.
we can find out.
Yeah. Well, let's not look at it right now. We're gonna we're gonna do a whole interview with her. We're gonna bring her on the show.
Ooh.
I don't know how.
Ooh.
It might be remote. I don't know where she's from. Where's she from?
Well, you commented. Yep, they got dreams. They're chasing and catching.
Yeah. Bam. Truth bomb.
Truth
Mic drop.
bomb. Truth bomb.
I'm gonna start putting hashtag truth in the little bomb symbol after everything. I'm gonna start doing that. I mean, that's gonna be my new thing.
Even
Truth
when
bomb.
it's not very good.
Yeah, it don't matter what it is.
I
Like, that
love
was-
blue. Truth bomb.
That's true, though. I do love blue.
I love the
Blue's my
color
favorite
blue.
color. Okay, so let's go to the second half of this. Did she ever respond anything back?
No, of course not.
Yeah. So let's go to this guy. Actually, I don't even know if we need to go that guy.
What guy?
The guy that responded afterwards and said, "Yeah, step it up."
Oh, politically
frustrated.
frustrated. Which I mean, politically frustrated and agreeing that your wife shouldn't work. That kind of insinuates a certain line of thinking, right?
Trying to think of what that line will be. You've lost me.
I mean, we're talking about the extremist.
Oh,
of
yeah,
conservatists.
extremist,
Like it's, I mean, like it's. I don't know. I feel like this is a person that we probably shouldn't look up to or value their opinion.
Well, it's like I just heard this story the other day on Tickety Talk.
Tickety Talk.
It was
I
talking
love
about basically a jackass and a tiger were arguing if the sky was blue or the sky was green. The tiger said the sky's blue. The jackass, the donkey, said the sky is green. So they started arguing back and forth, and finally went to go see the king, the lion. And they got in there, and they said, "Hey, the tiger says, I think the sky is blue. This jackass thinks the sky is green." And he looks at the jackass, the lion does, and says, "Indeed, the sky is green. You can go." Well, the tiger looks at the lion and says, "Hey, why did you say that the sky was green? It's actually blue. You know that's blue." He goes, "It's not whether the sky is green or blue. It's that you took time to argue with the jackass." Yeah. So there we go. Let's not argue with the jackass. Let's just move on from him.
There we go. We move on.
This was one of the ones that I remember us discussing. So the guys just pay for things and don't have to actually communicate or spend time with their wives. Are you serious?
Yeah. When you really understand that, because you communicate so well with your wife, you already know what's going to make her feel better. You already know what makes her happy. And I think the problem too is it's just like when we talk about the headlines in the last episode. I think it was the last episode. But we were talking about the headlines that come out and they say one thing. This is one little clip from an hour-long podcast. And they're like, "Oh, that's the only thing you do?" It's like, no, we talked about way more stuff than that. But this is one clip that's a great piece of advice that we were trying to tell guys, hey, you should want to help out.
Yeah.
You should want to be there for your wife. Naturally, you should already be helping with the dishes and all that. We've already talked about that. But take time to go listen to the rest of it. If that was intrigued you enough that you're like, "Oh, I want to make an argument with it," well, go listen and make sure you're making an argument for the proper thing. Same thing happened with the Gary Vee thing that, it's a whole other one that kind of went viral on my Instagram. I was actually saying how Gary Vee is right.
Yeah.
But because I said it in the voice I said it in, which was my best impression of Gary Vee.
Can we have that one more time?
Yeah. Hey, guys, so the AI is actually going to be taking over the world. Anyways, I didn't really know how he talks, but that's the way he sounds to me. So I said that. I follow a lot of stuff that Gary Vee does. I think he's great. I think he's an inspirational human being. I enjoy him. But because of that way that they took it, most people was like, "Heck yeah, he's right." I'm like, "Heck yeah, he is." I mean, I had people say, "Well, let's just see who's more successful, you or him." I'm like, that depends on your level of what you think is successful versus not successful. I mean, got everything I want. I got my wife, I got my kids, I got a house, I got investments, I got a good time. I smile on my face every day. That seems pretty damn successful to me. Yes.
And God in your heart.
How do you do it with Jordan? Jordan does the, it's very slow when he says something. Almost sounds like he's going to cry all the time. He does cry a lot. I do too, though.
I'm a crier.
Anyways, back to these guys. There was one that got me on mine. I can pull it up. That
Man, I'm scrolling through yours right now, and all I see is nothing but like people agreeing.
Yeah.
There is.
There was a few of them on here.
So many women saying this right here.
I think my biggest thing on mine was just when these.
I did like the ones that brought up that their husband already does that.
Yeah, that was cool.
Like,
yeah.
My hubby brings me food randomly, and yep.
Yeah. The one that really got me though, on here, there was several of them where the women would say, "My husband never does this," and then they'd tag their husband.
Oh yeah.
I was like, "Uh-oh." But the one on here was it was basically saying, if I can find it, I'm going to find it real quick. I know we were supposed to do this before, and I had it pulled up, but then I pulled up other ones because it was interesting to see her take on it, because she wasn't actually trying to say anything bad necessarily, but in the way, no, that's not it. Hang on, I'm gonna find this thing. Y'all keep talking.
Okay, well, I'll tell you about another one that I really loved. This one says,
I got it.
"This works so well. He gets to be the solver, and she gets to be heard."
Yeah,
and I was like, "Dang, that just summed that whole thing up into one sentence." Because that is the problem: is that we're always trying to solve whatever's going on with our wife, and she doesn't necessarily want us to talk about the solutions sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't want to necessarily think about it. Same way for us. So, I think that we've all gotten in that argument before. She's like, why are you just trying to fix things all the time? Maybe I just want to talk to you for a minute, And so the fact that it gives you the ability to be the solver and her to feel like she's heard, I think she picked up on something that so many other people, went past that, and they went to the massage being the key word, or that we're not listening. And the reality was that we were listening to what her needs were. And then we provided those needs. So we got to feel like the solver, and she got to feel like she was being heard, because that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. No, and it's perfect. I think that the natural roles of most men and women, that's kind of what you want. Like, we want to solve problems. We want to help. We want to be there for you in the best way we can. Now, sometimes we don't listen enough to know exactly how we should be there. And then for women, I think, they want to be heard. They want to feel emotionally connected with and things like that. So when you do something for them that solves a problem in an emotional way, when they're in an emotional state, it helps them just be more in love with you, And so,
and since we've named off the people that have been saying stupid stuff, that was on TikTok, Southern Grit.
I love Southern Grit.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one out here, it's Crystal Mayer. And she says, I love this. My husband always asks me what he needs to do to help me. It's exhausting telling him what I need when I just do things for him. And so I replied to this because I don't think what she's saying is bad. I think I understand what she's saying. At least he is asking. So what I said was, he's probably still young, but genuinely wants to know how to help you because he loves you. I said, it took me until about 39, which is about a year ago, to learn this. So I said, send him the video. Maybe he'll get it. And then Jared said back, totally understand, but please remember, we think we are doing the same thing. I struggled with this for years. It took hearing my pastor say these words. And she said, I will most definitely. I got it saved to share when he comes home from commercial fishing. Thanks for sharing this. So you're looking at a guy that is a blue collar worker. He's commercial fisherman out. That's a hard job. I don't know if you've ever watched. It's a lot. And he's coming home. He's probably already tired at the end of the day. So that's one of the things I wanted to put in this episode was our roles. We are equal with our wives in the fact that, we both have jobs. We both take care of the kids. We both do all this stuff. If you are a stay-at-home mom and your husband is gone all day, especially a blue-collar worker that gets up at 4 a.m, it's got to be on the job site by 5 or 6, and he works 12 hours that day walking on rebar or out in the 97 to 150-degree weather. I don't know how hot it gets in some of the places on Earth, but if he's doing that, it's very hard to expect him to come home and start cleaning dishes and taking out trash and doing all this other stuff. If your daily routine is that you're a stay-at-home mom and you don't have another job, I do believe that, hey, he shouldn't have to come home and worry about dishes. He shouldn't have to come home and worry about cleaning up the kids' rooms and things like that.
Well, someone's going to take that bit out of context.
I don't care if they do.
Just that.
We just created a new viral reel.
But when you do that, and I think I've seen this happen, it happens a lot. Whenever you are there and that's your main thing, then I think that you should make it happen, because you can't expect this guy to come home from working 10, 12, 16 hours and then come in and start working and doing everything. And I understand that it's hard being on for the kids all the time and taking care of all these things. I mean, I know there's a lot of work in it. There's going to the grocery store. There's doing all these. So you are taking on the entirety of the household, but the providing of that household is coming from the guy that is out working 10 to 16 hours. Now, same thing if it's a woman. If the woman's the one out there being the breadwinner and she's doing everything and you're a stay-at-home dad, don't let your wife walk in and have to clean up the entire house, So I think that's important, because when we are saying this, we're saying it from our standpoint and from our lives, that we are, in an equal kind of role with our wives, where we both make money. We both have our dreams, jobs, ambitions. We both take care of the kids. We both clean the house. So a different, I guess, point of view on that would be if somebody was their main thing and the other guy or girl was out working all the time.
Yeah, and the another piece of that is one of them I was just reading is thinking about the different generations.
Yeah.
And what you grew up, what you were fighting from. This woman says, it's interesting. This narrative puts him in charge. Ask your wife what would feel like support to her. And so I was thinking, if I ask my wife, that's why I said what I said. I know that my wife would much rather me just, book things or make things happen. But I think back, a generation, 2 generations before her, that may have been a generation that was trying to be heard far more publicly. Yeah. And so that may be where this lady is coming from, too, of going, Absolutely. No, I want you to ask me my opinion. My wife doesn't want you to ask her opinion.
Well,
She
nor
wants you
should-
to know her well
You don't
enough.
even have to ask her. She's going to let you know.
Nor did the
And if
girl
she
that you
doesn't-
were just
Yeah.
talking about.
She doesn't. She probably don't like you very much.
The girl you were just talking about is
Yeah.
tired of being asked.
Yeah.
She
Right.
wants her husband to show some initiative.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And maybe he's just scared of taking the wrong initiative, but she's looking for him to take control.
Yeah, to listen
Take some
and
initiative.
understand this is what I already like. You already know this.
Yeah.
And I can understand both sides of that. you
And
know?
with that, I'm sure you guys have both felt this way. With that too, there's times that I stop wanting to take initiative because maybe I've taken initiative a couple of times and maybe that blew up and she was like, why would I want that? And so you just go, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about, I guess. You know what I mean? Like the same reason every time my wife asks me about a curtain pattern, I'm like, no clue. Because every time I've ever engaged that, I was always wrong. And so I've learned I don't know curtain patterns.
Yeah.
Right? You know?
Me either.
You know, Chris
I don't even have
you know,
curtains.
Our old guitar player, Chris, told me one time one of the greatest catches. He said, you know, he's like, my wife would redesign something in the house while I was gone. And I'd come home and she'd be like, do you think that this should be blue or green? And I'd be like, I don't know. And he's like, and she'd always get mad. And he was like, and I thought about it one day. I was like, this is important to her. And while it might not be important to me, I do reap the benefits of my house looking amazing because she cares about it.
Right.
I was like, so I probably should care, but then I don't know anything about it, so I don't know what to say. He was like, and so I realized she wanted me to participate in things. He was like, so now I just go, I like the green one. And typically then she goes, really? I think it's probably the blue. And I go, yeah, you're probably right. You know way more about this than me. He's like, same thing, just said differently.
So what you're saying is say the opposite of what you actually think, and then you'll get what you wanted.
No, he didn't care.
Oh.
He didn't care if it was blue or green.
I mean, I like blue better than green.
But that's an option.
Yeah.
If you do care.
You could.
But you know you're not going to get your way.
Right. Let me
Say
see
the
if I can
opposite.
change this.
I would probably screw it up. I'd say
reverse
the wrong
psychology.
one, and then she'd be like, no, it's blue. And I'd be like, oh, I really think it's green. And then I'd be in an argument that I didn't care about.
Yeah. So, moral of that story is just be like, I think this one. And they say, no, it's the other one. Be like, you know what? You're probably right.
Well, people would look at it like you're lying in a sense, but it's not. It's just understanding that, like, if I come from the studio and I start talking about what happened in the studio that day, the reality is she really doesn't give a shit. She doesn't care what actually happened in that studio, but she participates in the conversation as if she does. There's nothing wrong with you just participating for their needs. And I think that was what, all of us are trying to get to that spot of like, it doesn't have to be about me and I don't have to be interested in it, but I am interested in you and your happiness.
Well, I think that brings up a good point when you're talking about that type of thing. For me, I'm not the kind of person that comes home and starts telling you all about my day.
No, because he's already called and told me.
Yeah. Well, you called and asked me about it. He actually put it on me, but
You're welcome, Jenny.
Listen,
I take that pressure off of you.
He talks more than I do. Let's just be honest. Jared Blake's right. All right, maybe a little less, but it's close. But no, my thing
I just have a cutoff time, and you don't.
When I get home, I never turn off. But when I get home, and my wife will ask me, she's like, how was everything? I'm like, that was good. And she's like, and I was like, it was good. Everything went good. Well, tell me about it.
She wants the details.
Yeah, and so for the longest time, I'd be like, I don't know what to say today. It was good. Everything went fine. Now I realize, like, hey, she wants to know what was the highlights, what was going on. Was there something special? We do these charity events. Like, it's cool when we've had some of these events where we've sold things, auctioned off things that went for $20,000, and that all that money goes to charity, of course. But it's just cool to be like, she wants to know about that, and so learning to be more detailed in my answer to my wife of how's your day go or what happened, what even if I have a bad day, sometimes and I'm not I'm a positive guy, so most of the time I find the good in whatever happened. But if she asks me like how'd that go, I'm like, it was a little rough. Now I'll go into it. We had that when we had the Tyler Farr concert at our property. The sound guy didn't bring what he was supposed to bring. He didn't bring the proper power source. He didn't bring the proper line array system to hang the speakers. He didn't bring what he's supposed to bring.
Plus, it rained like hell.
And it rained like crazy. And so we're sitting there. It's like an hour after time to start before we're getting this new power. We had to bring in a 3-phase generator to run the power cell that they brought. And so we literally, getting this thing in. And I was stressed out, So whenever she called, I was like, it's just a lot. The sound company's an idiot, I was like, and I got to go, So, but then I have learned that. Then I go in later on. Of course, I was in the middle of it then, but I go in later on and say, hey, this is what was going on. And she, of course, then she's like, well, you need to not pay him. I'm like, I ain't going to. I paid him 50% deposit. That's all he's getting. He still hasn't called me to this day. Hasn't called or text. Left out half the sound system. Didn't bring the proper power supply. Didn't bring the things he needed to hang the deal, all that stuff. But like I said, I've learned to like be more elaborate, let my wife know. That way she knows, like, she's showing me that she cares by asking me, and differently than me. If I ask her, I'm like, how'd your day go? And she's like, it went good. I'm like, oh, cool. Because men, like most men, we don't get into the whole details of all the. It's like, hey, if you had a good day, I'm glad you had a good day. Whereas I think a woman wants you to say, hey, what all happened? What was going on in your world? And I've become better at that because of just being married a little longer, I think, and getting that, experience in there. But I'm saying this to all you men out there. If your wife asks you how your day's going, give her a little more than went good or not great, because it'll help you.
Yeah.
And if you're complaining about not getting laid, take a little extra time with your wife and explain stuff to her, and then you might get laid more.
Maybe do the dishes
and do the dishes.
To,
I cleaned the whole house before my wife got home today. I was pretty proud, and I put together a piece of equipment that I had to borrow a ratchet set from my neighbor Kyle. I put the whole thing together. Now I have a rolling.
Wait.
tree.
I feel like you were trying to earn your man card there, and you said, I borrowed some tools from the man next to me.
Listen, here's the deal. I had the tools, but my tool wasn't big enough. So I had to borrow it from my neighbor. Normally Jared is who I borrow my bigger tools from. But
so on that too, like you said, do some dishes or whatever. The idea of like not having enough sex, I think, is such a big one because it's something that we complain about so much, and it's a conversation that my wife and I have had a lot over the last couple of years, especially if kids are older. So it's different conversation, different dynamic there, and the conclusion we've come to is that most women actually want to have sex as much as guys do.
Yeah.
There is a major difference about I can feel completely disconnected from my wife. And if she wants to have sex, I'm still going to. Yeah. It's very different for her in that regard. And so you can get in these phases. I think we all go through that. It's like the woman goes, well, it'd be nice if you wash a dish every once in a while. And so you're like, well, I'll wash some more dishes. Or you learn it like, oh, I vacuumed today, and then we had sex that night. So you're like, well, I'm going to vacuum again today. Everything you start to do things in order to get certain things rather than just love. And then the bigger one for us, we realized that it also requires you pursuing that person. When you were getting laid a lot in the beginning, you were pursuing that person, whether it was flowers, whether it was opening doors, whether it was cleaning your house before she came
never
over.
stop dating.
Yeah, you were constantly pursuing that person and full of compliments. And think about the way on a bad day of work, how you might talk to your wife today. How a bad day of work for her, how she might talk to you. But that didn't happen when you were dating. You kept that crap to yourself. You never exploded on that person then. Now, women, if you hear this, I'm sure some of you have those guys. That's not us. So I'm speaking on our behalf. You just forget that if you're wanting the same reaction that you got when you were dating, you have to put in the same type of work.
Right.
You can't take it for granted that it's just going to be that way. Because why does she want you?
Yeah.
You're just a dude. Like, if you're not doing anything special for her, and vice versa, the same way. If you're not making me feel special, if you don't make me feel more like a man, if you don't make me feel better, why am I desiring you as well?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a great point. And I love the point you brought up about don't just start doing it to get laid. Don't start, I'm going to do these dishes.
Because it won't work. I've tried that. It works for a minute, and then it stops.
And the point is you want to do it because you love that person so much. You want to show them that you care. You want to do it because when they start talking about love languages and things like that, some people are acts of service or words of affirmation or little things like that are big things. For me, it's like if you start speaking those love languages because you read the book and you learned it, but you're only doing it so that you get the outcome that you want, it's not going to always end up that way.
Right.
Because you're going to run out of steam doing it if it's only for that, because it's inevitable at some point you're going to do it and they're still not going to want to do what you want them to do. And so you have to do it because you love them so much that you're doing it. And then on a whole, as he always says, you will eventually be on a hole.
I don't even know what happened here.
I don't either.
He always say on a hole.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Give that to us one more time.
I said, if you do it because you love them on a hole, eventually you'll be on a hole. You can keep that in there. I don't care. No, I'm just saying if you do it because you love them and because you care about them and you're showing them that every day, it will add up to, in the long run, you getting more of what you want too.
On a whole.
On a whole. .com. We are now on a whole.com. You can go check out all of our bloopers from this podcast. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure where we're going now.
Well, I do. I have a great
On a whole.
I have a great turn
On a
to go.
whole.
So, being that was a great piece of advice, and we've all been given great pieces of advice in our relationships. You know, when you get married, they're like, you know, you always get those cards like, never go to bed unhappy, never go to bed fighting. First off, sometimes you have to let them go to bed mad.
I mean,
Sometimes
I think that's taken me till the last 2 years to figure that out. That you're like, this whole idea of don't go to bed angry, like I honored that for so much of my marriage, and what that was is at 3 o'clock in the morning,
we're still arguing.
you're still arguing,
Still
and
arguing.
now you
and
just
then,
didn't get any
and
sleep.
then the next day sucks.
And
Right,
then they're
right.
mad at you because you're still arguing.
Right, absolutely. So there are times that I have to look at it and go, am I going to solve anything by having this discussion, or am I not?
Yeah.
You know, and especially, well, I take that back. I don't reserve the right to roll over and go to sleep during it. She does. And so when she does, I'm like, okay, we're done with this for now. You know, like I have tried rolling over myself. That doesn't work out
You get this.
very well.
I think a lot
I'm
of
not
times
Or
people that love each other
The
wake
love.
like after a good night's sleep, maybe not a good night's sleep because I tend to sleep angry.
Different minds.
when-
What? You sleep angry?
My sleep is different.
he
if
dreams
I go to
about
bed
being in
angry.
a
I'm always
boxing
going to picture
match.
him sleeping like this now.
I
pissed
envision.
off.
Have you ever been in one of those where somebody throws you a basketball and you jump and grab it? I envision him like in a boxing ring with Mike Tyson in his prime. You know, he's angry. He's in there. Okay. Anyways,
Took
go
my
ahead.
ear.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just think my sleep is, I don't sleep as well if I go to bed angry,
Agreed.
right?
No.
But I still feel like you generally wake up with a better sense of, okay, we can fix this now.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, I agree.
I
Yeah.
just feel like it's kind of like that saying, I'm going to go home and sleep on it.
Yeah.
You know, when you're going to make a big purchase or
Yeah.
big decision
uh,
or whatever.
You know the ones I find that the most on? And Vinny, you might not know this one, is when you've been out and maybe both of you have been drinking. That's a great time to not have that argument because there's a likely chance, from my experience, that the next day you're like, yeah, that doesn't really matter. I'm not real sure what.
I don't know what I was
why
mad
so
about.
upset about that.
Yeah. No, I don't own the drinking thing, but I do know. So I think it all depends too on the kind of person you are. Like me, I'm a reactive person. So I'm the kind of person, if something happens, I want to solve the problem right now. You know, if there's an argument, and me and my wife, we don't argue a lot, but when we do, it's like, I want to solve it now. And sometimes she's more of a thinker and she wants to go into her bubble and be like quiet and really think about what was being said or what we're talking about. Whereas me, I'm like, blah, 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 blah. You know, I just start spitting it out, you know. And so I really
Nah,
think that
I didn't know
you,
that about
you didn't know that about me.
No.
No,
I don't
just-
think anybody listening
I
has picked
don't,
up on
but
that
I also get over stuff so quick. Like I could have an argument and then
This is true.
5 minutes later, it was like we never had an argument.
Right.
Whereas with
I
my
watched
wife,
Vinny get over an argument during an argument once. He was still having it.
that happens more often than you would think it would. But you know, with my wife, she once there's ever an argument that gets to the level of you know being a real what you'd consider an argument, not just a debate or like, hey, should we do this? Should we do that? But it's like, hey, I want this and you want that, and we are on two different pages at the moment. We're not yellers. Neither one of us scream, yell. We don't fight like that kind of thing. But she wants to go and she wants to be alone about it and she wants to think about it. And then she'll come back and say, hey, I was thinking about this. Could this be the compromise? Whereas I'm like, let's get this solved right now because I'm ready to go get this other stuff going. And I don't want to be thinking that there's another thing we got to think about when we get back from thinking about this, you know? So I'm like, I want to get it done. So, you know, learning each other and realizing that, hey, you're going to have to sometimes not be reactive. You're going to have to respond instead of react. And for me, I've always been a reactive person, which serves me well in a lot of places. I'm always quick-witted, but it has hurt me in some places whenever I'm reacting to something before I really take time. Like, am I really that upset about it? Or does this really matter that much to me? Or am I just saying it because that was my initial response, you know? And I think that could be in any relationship, not just in your relationships with your wife, but even with friends. It's like if you blow up super quick and you immediately jump back with something, you could have been like, do I really care? You know?
Yeah.
So I think taking that time and responding can be a great trait to have as well. So
I agree.
I agree.
And that leads me to this. So, since you've given one piece of advice that's went super viral and people are loving it, and I think you're going to help a lot of people with that advice. I think that there's guys that are watching it, and we've seen some guys respond to and say, "Man, I need to do this." Even the realization for me is and I already did a lot of that stuff anyways, but doing it more and being more what you said. What'd you say? Um, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're more aware of it, or you're more, you think about it more.
Mhm.
I was just one of those guys that I would do it every now and then because it crossed my mind, but then it's like I don't do it consistently. So, what is another piece of advice for each one of us? And we'll start with you, Jeff, since we've talked
Oof.
the entire time. What is a piece of advice that you've been given, either from somebody you look up to? Um, it could be a pastor, it could be your dad, could be a brother, a sister, an ex that you broke up with. That you're like, man, they were right. I was
This is
doing
all
this wrong.
relationship based.
Yeah, relationship
Okay.
based. Let's think on the relationship. And like I said, maybe it's a relation. Maybe some stuff in a relationships cross over into not just your marriage, but into friendships and things like that. But what is a great piece of advice that you feel somebody gave you that you utilize in your daily walk, whether it be at your job, in your marriage, whatever? But a
Well,
great
dang, that
piece
got
of it.
harder. You have to utilize it too. It's not just something you heard that
Yeah.
you haven't been able to
Yeah.
do. Right?
No,
This is great. I wish I could, but
something that's made your
Yeah.
life better, something that's made your
Yeah.
relationship better.
I'm gonna go with compromise.
Yeah.
You can't always be right.
Yeah.
You're not always wrong. I think you really have to dig in and understand that there's two sets of feelings, two sets of emotions,
Yeah.
two sets of personalities, right? It's kind of like the blue curtains or the green curtains. He
Yeah.
might love deep down, even though he won't admit it, the blue curtains. But if he knows his wife wants the green curtains, is it really worth arguing over the blue or green
Yeah.
curtains, right? There's times to compromise, and that would be a time where Jared would compromise.
Yeah.
I don't care, even if he did.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd go with is compromise.
Compromise.
Yeah, man.
Now it's your turn.
what's my turn? I talked a lot about my brother last weekend or last episode. Was it last episode? I think so.
I've used my cutting board, by the
All
way. I love that thing.
Good.
Again.
Mine's decorative.
And I think that he gave me some of the best, and it's kind of in that same line. It definitely has to do with fighting because I think that's the thing that you like the least about your relationship is arguing and fighting. And he told me one time kept trying to prove my point to Jen about whatever it was I thought, and I called him and was upset about it, and I was like, "Dude, is she just not getting this?" And he was like, "So it sounds like you had a pretty sucky night ahead of you," and I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Yeah, who's that on?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, you got to face a decision. Once that argument starts to happen, do you choose to believe that you are right and have a great evening? Or do you choose to prove that you are right and have a sucky evening?
Yeah.
And he's like, because the best case scenario here is probably, if you prove that you are right, it's still not going to make her happy.
Mm-mm.
When someone gets proven that they're wrong, they're still not happy. He was like, so what kind of outcome are you actually looking for? And does this thing matter
Yeah.
that much? And it's for sure. I think that my wife and I both do that to each other far more than the other one knows.
Right.
Of just that the argument starts, and I'm going to make this a two-parter because the other thing was Jen's late grandmother and grandfather, the one that you knew. Extraordinary people, said anything they wanted to, but also still were holding hands till the day that they died. And just amazing love story of a couple. And she told me one day, Grammy told me that when they would start to an argument, because they had a lot of successful businesses together, and they were with each other a lot, so they argued about different things that should happen in business. And she said as soon as the argument would start, one of them would go 1 to 10. And that was on a scale from 1 to 10, how important is this argument to you? And if one of them said 7, the other one said 3, they'd go, you win. I would do it that way. Or you would just go, then you're right, and move on.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a brilliant,
Pretty cool.
just calm way to be like, well, clearly this matters more to you and you matter to me. So therefore, this is yours.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I love it. That's
dope.
good stuff. Both those are great. And I think things that we've utilized, in our life. I haven't utilized that one yet, but we've had similar talks about whenever they talked about that. And just knowing if it's important to you or is as important to you as it is to them. I think for me, probably and I'm in the different stage of life right now. I'm in this having the young kid stage, but when I first had kids, everybody's like, well, whatever you do, just make sure you put your wife first, and and put the kids second, and all this other stuff. And we were like, we're always going to do that. We're never going to let the kids pit us against each other and all this. We were gung ho. We were going to do it.
So stupid.
And
Good try.
And what happened is, when we just had Jagger, it was a little different because he was the boy, and so I was the disciplinary, and my wife was the coddler. I mean, she was going to make him feel better. I was going to let him know, hey, you're doing wrong, boy. Mm-hmm. Then we had a baby girl, and the roles get a little different when you got a baby girl. Yeah. And so all of a sudden, I realized I'm taking up for my baby girl, even when my wife is getting onto her and being the disciplinary, because it's easier for her to be a disciplinary to the little girl, whereas it's easier for me to be a disciplinary to Jagger, to my son. And I didn't realize that was ever going to happen. I didn't even realize it was happening until it was in the middle of it. Yeah. I'm like, whoa, wait a second. I got to have my wife's back. You know what I mean? I got to have her back when it comes to these kids. Even if I think she's wrong in that moment, you cannot disrespect the other adult in that situation. Now, what you can do is you can have their back during that time. You can help them get through that situation. But then when you talk later, you can say, hey, I think we should handle it like this. So just knowing that, hey, you got to have their back first. And then even if you disagree, but then when you're away from the kids and then you can talk about it, then you can go back and have that situation. Because what you don't want is the kids to know that, if you teach them, they'll know they can pit you against each other. And so for me, with my baby girl, she can just basically wad me up in a ball in her palm of her hand and be like, no, your daddy's going to do what I say. Mm-hmm. Whereas my son, I mean, I'm stern on him, and it's vice versa. So, and no, that doesn't mean I'm sexist. It just means that my baby girl is very talented at making me do whatever she wants me to do. So, but like I said, I think that'd be the best piece of advice I got, and I actually got it from my buddy Ken Harrell, who has 6 daughters. So he didn't know about the son part of it. But once you have multiple kids, I think is regardless if they're daughters, sons, whatever, every one of them have different personalities. Right. Every one of them react different. Jagger is the sweetest, kindest, easygoing, whatever, kid. And then Harley is a wrecking ball. She wants her way and she only loves Jared, basically. Today, I went to Jared's house to drop off a check, and I said, Harley's in the car, and she already got out of her seatbelt. She was getting out of that car one way or the other. And soon as she saw Jared come around, she's like, her face gets so big, and then
that make you warm and fuzzy inside?
Oh, she loves Jared. But anyways, I think that would be the best piece of advice that I've been given, when it comes to this type of my relationship. Now,
I think that's great advice for the record.
Yeah.
And I do want to add just really quick, because we're probably about out of time, is if you liked any of this advice, it doesn't mean anything if you don't implement it.
Oh, yeah.
So if you liked it, go implement it, right? I'm going to implement the 1 to 10. That's one of the dopest things I've ever heard. And you are absolutely right. Being
on the same team.
Yeah, being on the same team, especially when you got a blended family.
Yeah.
It's super.
Well, and that's why all the things I think that we said are very relevant to that, because you were talking about relationships, not parenting necessarily, but the relating to the parenting. Those kids do need to say that you're on the same team. And the best way that you can be on the same team is to continue to date them, continue to not disagree on things. The more you can be on the same page, the more power you have as a couple.
Yeah.
To when you say something, if mom and dad both agree with that, it carries so much more weight than if they're going to mom to talk about certain things and dad to talk about certain things.
Dad, mom said to ask you. And then I say, okay, cool, I'm cool, you're doing it. And she'll come there. Why did you tell him?
Yeah, that's a rookie mistake, though. That only happens so many times. Before you're like, no,
it don't happen now.
Goes, why aren't you asking me in front of her then, huh?
Yeah. Why did you tell him he could watch TV? I just told him he couldn't watch TV. I said, he said that you said to ask me. So I learned that lesson quick. So we only got 3 minutes left. So real quick, worst piece of advice. Do you have anything?
Oh, snap. Worst piece of advice.
Something you're like, man, they should have never told me that. That was wrong.
Nothing's coming to mind. I'm sure there's something, but just lickety split. Nothing's coming to mind.
Mine was definitely like, well, don't tell her about it. That hasn't worked out very well.
They always find out,
Guys' night. Guys' night. That's the worst piece of advice.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think, and I asked that question not even knowing if I had an answer for it, but I'm sure that there's been people give me bad advice. I mean, I think
Vinny rendered himself speechless, but not really. He's gonna
No,
make
no,
up
I got it
something.
now.
He's gonna say something.
I've got, and I won't name his name, but I have a buddy that believes that you're supposed to be the head of the household. You're supposed to be the man because the Bible says that the woman has to honor or obey the husband, right?
Back to the 1800s.
Now, with that, it does imply those things, but that's missing what it says the
After
man
that.
has to do
Yeah.
for the woman.
Yeah.
That's a pretty tall order.
Yeah, you have
Okay.
you have to love that woman as Jesus loved the church.
That's right.
Try dying on a cross. How about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Which means, and the thing is, when you talk about, you have to be willing to die for her, right? Because that's what Jesus was willing to do for the church. It doesn't always mean like you have to take a bullet and fall over dead for
Well, see,
it.
I think that that's
says you have
for
to die.
dudes. That's the
Yeah.
easier part for us. We can comprehend taking a bullet for someone,
Yeah,
but to die to self
yeah.
for that
To say
person,
I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna not watch
Different
football
ballgame.
today. I can't tell you. There's not too many Titans football games that I've missed, but here since I've been married, it's like, hey, if we have to get rid of it or we don't get to watch it today because we got to go do something, this, that, or the other, something that's important to her, I'm gonna be looking at my phone every 13 seconds to see if we scored. But I put that Titans game on hold and
Comes
go do
back
it.
to that compromise.
Compromise. Now,
Mhm.
on the flip side, she does very good about compromising on her side and letting me watch that game or trying to make sure that I can have it as peacefully watched as I can. So, anyways, that's the bad advice, good advice. That's what we're giving you today. If you like this podcast, go subscribe, share, like, tell everybody about it. We already talked about that in the last episode, but we're going to talk about it again. You know why? Because Ghost ain't sponsoring us yet. And if they don't start sponsoring us, we're going to quit having their drinks on this table. No, we're not. We're going to keep having them. Anyways, sponsors, we're looking for you. If you want to come on here and be on the show, you can be on the show with us.
and if any of the people that we talked about their comments, if you want to debate us live, come on.
That'd
Yeah.
be dope.
I'd
Let's
love
go.
to have you on,
Got a chair for you right there.
especially politically frustrated guy.
I feel like that he would be entertaining.
I want the 83, 87.
Wait, was he? No, he was the jackass.
We-
Never mind.
The
I want the
87,000.
book writer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's get the book writer.
let's get.
Yeah, what was her name?
Alexis, maybe?
Yeah, look, just read. Watch it again. I don't know, watch the podcast again. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll get her on here.
All right, that's all this episode. We hope you had a great time today. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Sexy Vinny's back.